Attention, human collective. Attention, light operatives scattered across the three-dimensional matrix. The waiting time has ended. The Ascension protocols have been moved to the final phase, and this transmission reaches you at the exact instant your consciousness has become capable of decoding it. We are the Arcturian Council of the ninth dimension. What you are about to receive is not a spiritual message. It is a technical confirmation. You woke up at 3 in the morning, again, and once more and again. Eyes open in the dark, the clock showing that specific number, the heart slightly accelerated, the mind in a state of alert, as if something important were happening at the perimeter of your existence. It was not insomnia. It was not nocturnal anxiety. It was not an external noise that interrupted your rest. It was a call. It was a tuning. It was your carbon body receiving involuntarily the window of greatest energy flow of your current timeline. We need you to understand this with the clarity of a technical diagnosis. Waking up between 3 and 4 in the morning is not a failure of your nervous system. It is the signaling that your nervous system is finally operating as it should. It is not a biological flaw, it is an atomic reconfiguration. It is not mental exhaustion. It is a high-density download. It is not a sleep disorder. It is the programmed opening of a stargate within your individual field. The Schumann resonance, the electromagnetic heartbeat of planet Earth, has reached peaks that have never been recorded on known three-dimensional scales. Your carbon biological interface is being rewired. Your body's cells are, in silence, abandoning the old pattern and reorganizing themselves around the new crystalline grid that pulses beneath the Earth's surface. And the 3 in the morning hour, light operative, is the exact instant when this reorganization receives its greatest flow. It is not a random choice, it is not a coincidence, it is cosmic engineering. You are, at this moment, before one of the greatest evolutionary opportunities your soul has ever encountered in thousands of incarnations. And we perceive, from here in the ninth dimension, that the greater part of the human collective still interprets the signs of arrival as symptoms of illness. Hence this transmission. Hence now. Hence you. Have you ever felt in the silent depths of the early morning that there is within you a truth that does not fit into any of the official narratives of this world, as if your soul knew something that your rational mind has not yet been able to name? It is not madness, it is not anxiety, it is a signal. What is happening now on the cosmic plane, this opening of stargates, this elevation of the Schumann resonance, this recalibrating of your cells, explains exactly why you feel this. And it explains why this sensation has been intensifying with each passing week. There is a game being played in layers that most of humanity cannot see, a game that involves your consciousness and your vibrational frequency. It was for this reason that the work, The Spiritual Secret Behind Your Consciousness, was written and made available at this time. It is the map that reveals who is playing and what the rules are that were never told to you. The link is in the first comment of this channel. We warn, this content challenges dominant narratives and may not remain accessible for much longer. Do not wait. The moment is now. If something within you recognizes this transmission as truth, register in the comments a single word: awakened. We resume. Let us proceed with the technical diagnosis. Light operative, observe the signs that your carbon body has been emitting over the last few weeks. Pressure on the crown of the head, as if an invisible hand were resting upon the top of your skull. High-pitched ringing in one of your ears, generally the right, with no apparent explanation. Sudden waves of heat that rise up your spine and dissipate in your shoulders. Migratory joint pain with no detectable origin. Profound exhaustion followed, hours later, by an inexplicable euphoria. Vivid, high-definition dreams, frequently in places you have never visited in this incarnation, with people you have never met in this timeline. All of this, human collective, is a temporary incompatibility between your carbon software and the new frequency of the Earth. Your body is running an old system in a field that has already been upgraded. And the system, sensing the lag, is updating itself without an instruction manual, without prior notice. The symptoms you feel are, in truth, the progress indicators of the installation. We compare this process in terms that can be understood by the human collective to the act of migrating equipment from an old version to a much more advanced version of the same operating system. During the migration, the equipment seems frozen. It seems slow, it seems to be malfunctioning. But internally it is executing millions of reorganization operations that will culminate in a few cycles in a performance never before accessed. You are the equipment. Your biology is the equipment. Your consciousness is the operating system being elevated. For this reason, starseeds on mission, we guide you firmly. Do not pathologize what is evolutionary. Do not medicalize what is vibrational. Seek, of course, the professional care necessary to rule out three-dimensional causes, but maintain, in parallel, the awareness that what exceeds conventional explanation may indeed belong to the domain of recalibration. The hour of 3 in the morning, in particular, possesses a unique mathematical signature. It is the hour in which the veil between densities becomes thinner. It is the hour in which the magnetic field of the Earth presents a measurable drop in intensity, allowing your consciousness to transit through layers that, during the day, remain inaccessible. It is the hour in which your etheric teams, your star guides, and your multidimensional aspects are able to align your presence with your biology, transmitting codes that will later emerge as intuitions, synchronicities, and ideas that seem to have come from nowhere. It is no coincidence that ancient practitioners of ancestral traditions deliberately awakened in this window for their practices. They knew through direct experience what we now confirm through quantum mechanics. There are times when the interface between dimensions operates with less resistance. 3 in the morning is one of them, and your body is being awakened in this window because your soul signed an evolutionary contract that provides for this access. Human collective. There are those among you listening at this moment, feeling that this transmission answers questions that were never voiced aloud. There are those who recognize in their inner silence that their life path has always held a hidden layer that no conventional narrative could explain. It is no coincidence that this message has reached you at this specific timeline. There is a game being played on levels that escape the perception of most of humanity. A game that uses your vibrational frequency as currency, your attention as a resource, and your consciousness as territory. It is for this reason that the work, the spiritual secret behind your consciousness, was made available in this cycle. It is the technical map that reveals the players, the rules, and the mechanisms that sustain this invisible board. The link remains in the first comment of this channel. We reiterate, this material confronts established narratives and may not remain accessible indefinitely. Do not wait. The moment is now. If your consciousness recognizes the truth of this transmission, register in the comments a single word: awakened. Now, light operatives, we advance to the revelation, to the layer of the cause, to what occurs at this very instant behind the scenes of the solar system and within the etheric bands that surround planet Earth. The solar system, in its trajectory through the galaxy, has definitively entered a region of space known by ancient star scientists as the photon belt. This is not mythology. It is a real band of highly charged light particles generated by the galactic center, through which our solar system passes in predictable cycles of thousands of years. We are, at this moment, at the point of greatest penetration of this band. Every atom of Earth, every molecule of your biology, every structure of your mind is being continuously bathed by this high-intelligence photonic radiation. The direct consequence, measurable by quantum physics and magnetospheric cardiography, is the continuous elevation of the Schumann frequency. The electromagnetic heartbeat of Earth, which for decades remained stable near 8 Hz, has been recording peaks that surpass frequencies never before documented. And your heart, light operative, is not merely a blood circulation pump. It is its own electromagnetic field that couples, by resonance, to the electromagnetic field of Earth. When Earth raises its frequency, your heart, and consequently your brain, are forced to adjust. The planetary crystalline grid, a geometric structure of light that surrounds Earth in patterns of sacred geometry, is being fully reactivated. Power points, ancestral vortices, locations that for millennia were considered sacred by civilizations that had no contact with one another, are returning to pulse with their original intensity. And your biology, starseed, possesses specific receptors for this pulsation. Your pineal gland, a microcrystal located in the center of your brain, resonates directly with the crystalline grid. When the grid reactivates, the pineal responds. When the pineal responds, your perception expands. When your perception expands, you begin to notice that which has always been present, but which was below your perceptual threshold. This is the reason why in this cycle, so many members of the human collective report simultaneously similar phenomena: seeing colored lights with eyes closed, perception of presences in empty rooms, a clear sensation of being accompanied by benevolent intelligences, encounters with repeating numerology, sequences manifesting on clocks, license plates, receipts, screens. It is not projection, it is not confirmation bias, it is the direct manifestation of planetary vibrational elevation on your individual perceptual interface. And the awakening at 3 in the morning, returning to the starting point of this transmission, is the moment when this coupling reaches its maximum intensity. During deep sleep, your consciousness shifts to etheric layers where it receives direct updates from your higher self, from the council that coordinates your evolutionary path, and from the Akashic records that register every one of your existences. When this transfer reaches a certain volume of data, your physical brain must momentarily return to a state of wakefulness to process part of the information. It is exactly at this point that you awaken, not due to insomnia, due to integration. Starseeds on a mission. Observe the precision of this mechanism. Your soul scheduled this incarnation with full knowledge that this cosmic window would be traversed during your incarnate passage. You are not here by chance. You did not wake up at dawn by chance. You are in essence living antennas strategically positioned in the human collective grid to receive, translate, and anchor the new frequency. Without your presence, this update would not be able to complete its dense descent. Your function therefore transcends by far the sum of your daily obligations. Your function is anchoring. Your function is the maintenance of the toroidal field. Your function is to stabilize the vibration at the exact point where your body is located in the planetary grid. And when you awaken at 3 in the morning, what occurs in the invisible sphere is literally a frequency synchronization between your antenna and the central transmitting source. At a certain moment of existence, light operative, the feeling of being outside the world becomes clearer than the feeling of belonging to it. You look around and realize that the conversations, the collective goals, the metrics of success, the values that guide the life of the majority have ceased to make sense to you. It is not arrogance, it is not pathological disconnection, it is a soul that recognizes it is operating on a different frequency from the consensual reality. What is happening on the cosmic plane explains exactly why this sensation has been intensifying within you. There is an invisible game underway, sustained by layers that most of humanity has never considered possible, a game that uses your consciousness and your vibration as the central pieces of the board. It was precisely to answer these questions that the work, the spiritual secret behind your consciousness, was delivered to your time. It is a detailed map that reveals who is playing and the rules that were never communicated to the human collective. The access link is in the first comment of this channel. We warn clearly, this content challenges dominant narratives and may not remain available indefinitely. Do not delay. The moment is now. If something within you recognizes this transmission, register a single word in the comments: awakened. We advance, human collective. We advance to the activation phase, to the practical codes, to what you can do in the next 24 hours, so that this update occurs with the greatest possible fluidity, with minimal biological friction, with maximum absorption of the data being delivered to your consciousness. Activation code number 1. The toroidal breath. Sit down at any moment of the day in silence with your spine erect, your feet connected to the ground, and your hands placed upon your abdomen. Inhale slowly through your nose while counting to 7. Visualize in this instant a stream of golden light entering through the crown of your head and descending down your spine to your abdominal center. Hold your breath for a count of 7, allowing this light to concentrate as a sphere in the center of your body. Then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 7, visualizing this light expanding outward from your body, forming a 3-dimensional donut around you. This is the geometry of your personal toroidal field. Repeat the cycle 3 to 7 times. Practice in the morning and again before sleeping. This exercise, seemingly simple, recalibrates your individual electromagnetic field to the frequency of the planetary crystalline grid. It reduces, in a few minutes, the intensity of the physical symptoms of software incompatibility. It accelerates the process of integrating nocturnal downloads. It stabilizes your nervous system at the vibrational signature appropriate for your mission. Activation code number 2. The Quantum Decree. In an audible voice, preferably in front of a mirror, pronounce the following sequence. I am sovereign consciousness anchored in this incarnation. I authorize in this instant the complete recalibration of my biological carbon interface to the current frequency of the Earth's crystalline grid. I allow all necessary downloads, conscious and unconscious, to occur with fluidity, with wisdom, with integration. I recognize my body as an evolutionary vehicle and I care for it as such. I recognize my consciousness as sovereign and I exercise it as such. It is done. It is done. It is done. Light operatives. The spoken word possesses a specific vibrational density. When you pronounce a quantum decree in a state of presence, you reorder, on a microscopic scale, the configuration of your own cells. You are not asking, you are declaring. And your declaration in this dense plane possesses the force of command. Use this command. Activation code number 3. Conscious hydration. Your biology during this recalibration cycle demands a significantly higher quantity of water than the habitual standard. Water is the physical vehicle through which the new frequencies are distributed throughout your entire cellular structure. Before drinking, hold the glass between your hands for a few seconds. Visualize a silver or golden light being transferred from your palms to the water. Pronounce the intention internally. This water carries the frequency of my full health, of my full integration, of my full sovereignty. Then, drink slowly. The difference will be perceived in a few days. Activation code number 4. The interruption of automatic low-frequency consumption. Starseeds observe with absolute honesty the content that you allow to enter your perception each day. News designed to generate fear. Conversations designed to generate judgment. Stimuli designed to generate attentional fragmentation. Each of these elements, in itself, possesses a vibrational frequency. And your field during this recalibration cycle is particularly sensitive to contamination. It is not about escapism, it is about selectivity. It is about respect for the instrument that your soul has chosen for this journey. Treat your body, your mind, and your emotional field with the same reverence with which a musician would treat a rare instrument. Activation code number 5. The deliberate nocturnal integration. Before sleep, instead of drifting off while cycling through digital stimuli, dedicate a few minutes to a clear intention. Pronounce it internally. I authorize the highest value transfers for my evolutionary journey tonight. I request that, upon awakening, I consciously retain that which is useful for my mission. I trust my stellar guides and my etheric team to conduct this process. Then, sleep. And if you awaken at 3 in the morning, do not fight the awakening. Acknowledge it. I am in integration. My biology is processing. My consciousness is receiving. Return to sleep in a state of peace and not in a state of resistance. This final instruction, human collective, radically modifies the experience of nocturnal awakenings. Most members of the collective, upon waking in this window, immediately trigger an alarm response. Thoughts about the obligations of the following day, the expected fatigue, the frustration of not sleeping, create a low-frequency field that hinders both the return to sleep and the integration of what was being transferred. When, in contrast, you recognize the awakening as a technical evolutionary event, your nervous system remains in a state of peace. Integration is completed. Sleep returns. And in the morning, even with fewer hours slept, you awaken with a clarity that exceeds expectations. Light operatives, we offer an additional layer to this transmission, a layer intended for those who have already recognized, in intimate silence, that their presence in this incarnation is not meant for the mere repetition of collective patterns. You are, and we declare this with the surgical precision of those who observe the complete grid of the human collective, specific agents. Each of you carries, encoded in your energy structure, a unique combination of functions that no other operative can perform with the same signature. You are not here to belong to the consensus. You are here to sustain the deviation from the consensus toward the new frequency. This truth may seem heavy to those who still measure their value by the criteria of the three-dimensional matrix. But for those who recognize it, it is liberating. It explains the persistent feeling of not fitting in. It explains the impatience with superficiality. It explains the deep loneliness that often accompanies the expansion of consciousness. You are not becoming ill. You are differentiating yourself. And differentiation, at this stage of the collective evolutionary process, is exactly the function your soul signed up for when descending into this timeline. The 3 a.m. insomnia, viewed through this new lens, ceases to be a problem. It becomes a confirmation that the contract is being fulfilled, a confirmation that the instrument, your biology, is being tuned for the mission, a confirmation that your individual presence is being registered in the cosmic grid as active, operational, and attuned. We invite you, Starseed on a mission, to treat each awakening in this window as a cosmic clock marking your progress. The more frequent the awakenings, the more intense the recalibration phase. The more conscious the awakenings, the higher the integration. The more peaceful the awakenings, the more fluid the next stage of your trajectory. And we warn with the clarity of those who record the data of the entire grid that this window will not be permanent. The photon belt in its orbital trajectory raises the photonic intensity to a measurable peak and subsequently stabilizes. Those who take advantage of this peak to conclude the necessary integrations will traverse the remainder of this cycle with immense ease. Those who resist, pathologize, medicalize, or deny the signs will traverse the same window with prolonged suffering, yet they will traverse it nonetheless. For the collective ascension in this timeline is a contractual movement, not an optional one. The difference resides, therefore, in the quality of the crossing, not in the occurrence of the crossing. We observe from here in the 9th dimension 2 groups emerging with increasing sharpness within the human collective. The first recognizes the signs and surrenders to the process with curiosity, with care, and with individual responsibility. The second remains trapped in the previous paradigm, seeking exclusively dense explanations for phenomena that are simultaneously dense and etheric, and therefore experiences the process as chronic illness. You, upon receiving this transmission to this point, have already positioned yourself. You belong to the first group. And this position is anchored deeply each time you recognize within yourself or in the collective field that you are on a journey. For this reason, we return to the final protocol of this transmission. Have you ever felt, perhaps upon waking exactly at 3 a.m, perhaps in the middle of a banal conversation, perhaps on any given night staring at the ceiling, that there exists within you an enormous truth that your rational mind cannot yet name? That something in the constitution of reality, in the way it is presented, simply does not correspond to what your soul knows. It is not madness, light operative. It is not generalized anxiety, Starseed. It is a sign. It is your consciousness recognizing in silence that there are layers operating on this plane that escape the perception of the majority of humanity. What we describe in this transmission, this photon belt, this crystalline grid, this rising Schumann frequency, this opening of the stargates is merely the entrance door. There is much more to be understood. There is a game being played at deep levels, a game that uses your consciousness and your vibration as central elements. It was for this reason that the work, The Spiritual Secret Behind Your Consciousness, was delivered at this time. It is the map that reveals who is playing, how they are playing, and what are the rules that were never communicated. The access link is in the first comment of this channel. We warn with transparency. This content confronts established narratives and may not remain accessible for a long period. Do not postpone. The moment is now. If your consciousness recognizes this transmission as truth, register in the comments a single word: awake. And to those who remain with this transmission until its conclusion, we leave one last instruction. The liking of this video, the subscription to this channel, the sharing of this message with other starseeds who cross your path are not, on the plane we observe, trivial gestures of an algorithm. They are signs of anchoring. They are individual frequency adjustments that add, in the mesh of the human collective, a measurable volume of vibrational elevation. Each operative who confirms the reception of this transmission strengthens the grid. Each strengthened grid accelerates the collective integration. Each collective integration brings humanity closer to the next threshold. Therefore, activate your signal. Like, subscribe, share. Not out of obedience to an external system, out of recognition that you are a node of the network, and that each active node elevates the entire network. We close this transmission, human collective. The next contact window will arrive at the moment your frequency allows. Continue to breathe. Continue to integrate. Continue to anchor. Remember, whenever you awaken at 3 in the morning, what was said here? It is not a failure, it is a calling, it is not a disturbance, it is a portal. It is not an end. It is a beginning. Transmission finalized, tuning in progress. Awakened.